All right, so step one, I'm going to start with the left half. You can start with the right half. Everything comes pre-trimmed. And the strips that come in the helmet, I clamp them for a couple of days before I use them. It gives it a nice natural curve. You don't have to fight trying to get a straight piece into a curve. It's already bent. So that's where these clamps come in, and I'll be using that again a little bit later. So I start with the ABS cement. Be mindful of this stuff. It's very potent smelling. Use this stuff in a well-ventilated room. Don't get this on the surface of your helmet. You can get on the inside all you want, just don't get it on the outside where you'll be scraping, sanding, and polishing your helmet. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sand the strip. Just give it a quick scuff. It's not going to take much. Just want to give something for the glue to bite into. So the reason I use ABS cement is it's a solvent, and it's a solvent to ABS plastic in general, ABS and acrylic. So it's going to eat into both pieces of plastic and weld them together. There's no surface bonding, no coming apart in the cold, no coming apart when you drop it on the ground. I've had plenty of helmets take a nosedive off of an X-wing and come out unscathed. So a nice bead of glue, and you've got a couple minutes to work with this stuff. So you got to work a little bit quick. But when you put the strip in, line it up so that you have about 1/4 inch on the front and 1/4 inch in the back. So you don't want it too tight. Clamp the front, maybe. Make sure that the seam's nice and tight on the inside. Clamp it down, and then if you pre-curved your strip, it's going to take a lot less clamps too. So I suggest having 5 or 6 clamps laying around. When I pre-curve them like this, I use 4 clamps. It gives it keeps it nice and tight around the bend. And the last one goes back here. And I let this set anywhere between an hour to a day. That should be plenty of time. Just keep it in a well-ventilated area, someplace warm. You don't want it to get too cold. So that's step one. Okay, so on to part 2. I let this set for a couple of hours, and the plastics bonded to each other very well. So I'm going to get rid of these clamps here and undo the C-clamps. So the reason I use C-clamps on the end is that they fit in this gap that you'll see in a second, and I can get a little more pressure on them too. So I'm going to be using some tape this time as well. So I'm going to scuff the helmet a little bit, just on those edges where I'm gluing. And I'm going to put a nice bead of glue, just like I did before. So as I'm applying the glue, I'm rolling the brush. And what that does is it keeps the glue in a bead instead of spreading it out too far and not being as effective. It's going to spread out when I put the pieces together. So I get a nice thick bead. So I'm going to put them together. I'm going to have a few seconds to do this. I'm going to line up the front. That's nice and lined up. And these clamps fit right into this gap perfectly. It's hard to do that with a spring clamp. So I'm going to crank that down. I'm going to make sure that this is a nice tight fit on the inside too. And I'm still being careful not to get glue on the outside of the helmet. So now I've got to pull this into place there. Clamp this side. Nice and tight. Get it out with the tape. You can do 2 or 3 pieces of tape. I find that one piece right across the center, nice and tight, that'll hold it in shape until I'm ready to put the outer strip on. Alright, so the 2 halves are bonded together with the inside strip, so I'm going to take off the masking tape. If you're going to leave it for a while, I would use some painter's tape, otherwise you'll be getting the residue off. But if you get to it within 24 hours, you should be fine. So I'm done with these guys now. These C-clamps. Put the outer strip on. So I've let this one pre-bend for a few days, so it's got that nice natural bend. And now I'm going to drill 2 holes in the bottom. I'm going to go about 3/8 of an inch down and 1/4 inch over. So let's see, drill a hole right here, and a matching hole on this side. I'm going to fit this to the bottom of the helmet, and you can mark it with a pen, a Sharpie, or a pencil. I use the drill bit to just kind of score it. Don't go all the way through, so that leaves a little divot, and then I'll drill the hole out. Okay. Now I'm using the rivets. These are 1/8 inch rivets. I'm going to set that one in there, and this is going to go here in a minute. I'll give the strip a quick scuff on the inside, and I'll get this out of the way, get the glue closer. So I've got my rivet gun and my rivets ready to go, and I'll be using the clamp again as well. So I'm going to get a little bit of this glue on the brush, and I'm just going to work it around. I'm not going to let it fold over the sides of the helmet, or else that's going to mean polishing. I don't want to polish this. If you're painting it, the weathering could probably take care of that too. So put the rivet through the hole, and then put a washer in from the bottom. So washer's on the bottom, rivets on, and I've got to go pretty quick because this ABS is going to be setting. Then I'm going to clamp the bottom, and I'll rivet that in a few minutes. Alright, so the best way that I found to do this is to actually use your head. So I'm holding pressure here, and I'm going to just add this ABS cement along the mohawk spine here. It's a nice bead. This is some pretty stinky stuff, so if you're sensitive to chemicals, by all means wear a respirator. If you're going to do this outside, you've got to work really fast. So that just gets that nice along there. So I'm still holding pressure with my hand to keep it straight because this stuff's already starting to bond. And I'm just getting the rest of this filled in with glue. You don't want to get glue on the inside that gap there, because what's going to happen is the ABS cement's going to bond the ABS together, and once that happens, it'll just fester on the inside and you'll get a weird ripple along the spine of your mohawk. So I got my glue on. The seam looks good. Now I'm going to line up. The mohawk strip. I'm going to drill 2 more holes, about a 1/2 inch back from the front. I've got my hole drilled. Rivet goes through, rivet washer goes on the bottom. Just like that. Okay, so rivets on, rivet washers on the bottom. I just use my finger to hold it in place. And these rivet guns have a neat little thing there, so it can hold that in place too. So one's in, we do the second one. Like I said, about a 1/2 inch in, about 1/4 or 3/8 of an inch over. Don't drill a hole through your finger. Rivet through, washer on. If you have somebody helping you, sometimes that can help too. Alright, so I clamped this earlier, and I've got a little bit of a gap there. I'm going to close that gap right now. And then it's gone. So now I'm going to drill this bottom hole. Rivet through. Washer on. Alright, so if you're painting your helmet, this is where you want to stop and start painting. You want to stop assembling and start painting it. You want to paint your mohawk tip, sand it. You can throw it in the dishwasher on a no heat rinse, and that'll get some of the mold release off. Give it a nice sand with some 200 grit sandpaper, primer it, and then do whatever paint you want to do. Also with your helmet, this is where you want to paint the body of your helmet. If you're just going for a white helmet, keep building.